Hey.
Hello.
Oh, we forgot to practice that thing.
Oh, that's right. 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
And welcome to
the live stream of consciousness.
So I thought you were supposed to go the live stream, and then I would go of
Okay.
consciousness.
You know what else I thought of that
like
we have to do?
team.
You have to introduce yourself. You have to say, "This is Jesse Blaze."
This is Jesse Blaze Snyder.
And I'm Michael Zinn.
And you're listening to the live stream of consciousness.
Right. You know why we have to do that?
Why?
So we get new listeners. We have to act as if there are already new listeners. They don't know who we are. So we have to do a proper introduction of ourselves. We never do that.
But doesn't it say our name in like the heading?
It does, but we need a proper introduction. I think it's better that way.
I'm a minimalist myself.
All right. Well, I'm trying to manifest new listeners by
I get you.
Imagining they're already there.
I get you. I feel you. So how is your life going, Mr. Michael Zinn? You said that things are going wonderful.
Oh my God. Phenomenal. I don't know if you caught any of the video, but the D. Snyder show on Friday. Oh my God. Besides the fact that it was an amazing show, besides the fact that I was part of the filming crew, filming the show, documenting it for the debut of D. Snyder's new album, the graphics that I did for the background looked so good with the lights and the smoke. And oh my God, it was truly, it was a career highlight. I
bet you did a great job, Michael. I wish I could have seen that.
It was amazing. You will.
That actually makes me really bummed that I wasn't. I've seen my dad so many times. I mean, granted, not doing this material or whatever, but I was like, I've seen it a million times. But
right.
I love your work.
Well, we filmed it for a live stream, so you'll see.
Well, cool. I'll get to see some stuff. That's awesome. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah. So that was my highlight. What about you? What's going on with you?
Well, I guess. Sure. I mean, things are really going wonderful.
I love what you're doing right now. You're like total, I'm the radio professional, right?
Hello, how's it going?
Very cool.
But things are going, really great. I got a girl who I'm falling madly in love with, and
awesome.
And we're being very active. So I've been like kayaking and went to the gym the other day. Yeah, so I'm kicking my ass a little bit, but additionally, the universe, and we're going to talk a little bit to Johnny now about this in a minute. The energy of the moment has been very chaotic and energy sapping.
There's a lot going on. Yeah,
I've definitely been feeling like my butt getting kicked a little bit by that. But I'm still getting stuff done, really.
Okay.
And yesterday was the first day back for the next 26 episodes, recording Food Paradise.
Oh, awesome!
Which is awesome, and
that's phenomenal. Congratulations!
And I'm booking flights for my kids to come hang out with me for a month in the summer, and then Grayson's probably gonna hang out with me for the whole summer. Sweet. And so I'm really excited about all that stuff.
Grayson's going to be there for the whole summer. How long is he going to be there for? A couple of months.
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but hopefully, as long as I can keep him.
That's awesome.
As long as he can stay with me.
as long as he can handle you.
No, he'll stay with me.
Oh yeah, he loves me
plenty.
I'm just
it's probably the other way around. Oh my God, Grayson is hanging from my ears. No, I love my son. I'll never get tired. We never get tired of each other. But actually, really cool this week for me was, I had two. A friend and then a really good friend asked me to read cards for them. And that just is always, I just find an honor that people trust me with their Akashic records.
Absolutely.
And with reading for them, that's just always a really nice compliment. So, sure. So that was super cool. And both of them were, good news readings for my friends too. So I tried not to, I don't think I got in the way of it, and they get some good news, and I got to be bearer of good news. And so that was great. I'm still doing angel card readings, just sporadically. I kind of just roll with it as things come in, and I schedule things kind of all over the place. But
that's cool.
but it's just because my life is nutty. But life is really good, man. I'm feeling
Cool.
I'm feeling it. I'm getting excited for babies. I'm feeling a lot more stability. My family's about to be back over here. Gonna see my sister hopefully for a second in a little bit. And
summer's coming.
good.
I did get to see your sister for a second, actually, at the show on Friday. She was the only Snyder I haven't met, and I think I scared her. Because I walked up to her, I said, "Hey, I'm Michael Zinn," and she was like, "Do I know you?" And I had my arms open for a big hug, so she kind of like leaned in for a hug, like courteously. But she was like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working with your brother. You're going to be on our show." And she's like, "Oh, I've seen your face," but like for that second where I'm open arms, she didn't know who I was. But
my sister's very very shy.
No play on words there. That's great.
No play on words there. There's a reason why we end up with the names we end up with.
That's that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, no, life is excellent. I want to get into our guests because we've got Johnny actually already waiting in the back of things.
Yeah, we've got prompt guest
Johnny and I are old friends of friends who have become great friends later in our life. We've kind of known of each other since we were little. We just since we were teenagers or whatever, but we didn't really meet until more recently. And Johnny makes music, and Johnny's also very spiritual, and has been a practicing psychic for a long time. And before that, he's a retired, I think, police sergeant, but we'll get that right from Johnny.
Awesome.
I'm dyslexic, so hopefully I'm not remembering that incorrect. But Johnny and I always have amazing spiritual conversations and have connected really through music. And I'm working on something right now, and Johnny's helping me figure the things out.
Sweet.
And when we started talking about bringing on some consistent guests and whatnot, Johnny was one of the first people I thought of because he's been connecting to the other side and using the force for a long time. And I think he would have a lot of great advice to those of you who are new to opening yourself up to what is possible and what's out there. So totally. Additionally, Johnny is a very talented musician, as that's why
I was going to say
writing with him.
Yeah, I was going to say when you were still here in town, I met him briefly, and we all had a great night. It was just like he does have such an amazing energy. He's totally grounded and spiritual. It was great. So
yeah, he's keyed in, and he's very good at changing his energy for other people.
Yes,
and perhaps comes with his previous job. Having to deal probably with a lot of different people, and I've heard various officers discuss that you got to learn how to adjust and come correct for whatever group you're dealing with, and I think Johnny's really good about doing that. And very talented, works with lots of different people on Long Island and now abroad. Without further ado, can we have Johnny now?
Yeah, let me bring him on. And here's Johnny.
Hey everybody.
Hey,
what's
Johnny,
going on, man?
how's it going?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
So is that
good,
right?
man.
How many years you were a police sergeant?
Yeah, I was a police officer, not a sergeant.
I thought by the end of it you were. I don't know what.
Almost. I took the
I'm
test, but
dyslexic.
I was going through heart surgery at that time, so it was quite a throw,
Yeah. And you've been working like you pro psychic for a long time now.
Even
right?
when I was a cop, I kind of kept it to myself in the department, and not too many people knew about it. Because imagine just walking around the street and with other cops, and then knowing you're a psychic. It's like, who is this freak?
It's I gotta say, it's so interesting that we have him on the show and that he just talked about that, because during the week I started to watch this show on Netflix. You may have seen it. It's called Manifest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just started watching that. Michael, funny
and one of the characters is a police officer who comes back with these psychic abilities.
Yeah, it's funny as I'm watching. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I was already helping out the homicide squad, when I was a cop, and they kept it underneath the wraps, but it wasn't like a widely announced thing,
Wow,
so cool. We'll talk a little bit about it now, but
I'd love to get into whatever you can tell us about that in a minute. But first, what was your journey to consciousness? Were you always a psychic walking around, or did you have a path that led you there, as I know so many of us do?
I think it goes back to my childhood as a kid. I think my mom was a really bad alcoholic, so I kind of had to survive on my own. And I think that's part of where it developed more. You kind of had to know where you had to go just to be safe as a kid, and to be in the safer places, safer spots. So I just consciously knew where to go. I just kind of went wherever I thought I should go, that's how it developed. And as I got older, I realized things I would wish for or things I would say in my head, they would actually happen. I'm like, I want this to happen, then it would happen. I'm like, so as far as manifesting and stuff like that, I knew there was something up with me as a kid, and it freaked me out when I was a kid because nobody would explain to me. But as I got older and I became a cop, you kind of it would always just keep you safe. You wouldn't be in the places where you would get hurt or killed, or the nights there was a shooting, I would call in that night and not work, so it was like,
let me ask you a question. Yeah. What was the reason? Did you just had a sense? Did you have a vision? Like what?
Well, what is the nature of your psychic?
Yeah. Sometimes it's unconscious. Like a lot of people, you remember, like when you get into a car accident, or that's like everyday stuff. Like, let's just say you get into a car accident, or you wake up late. There's reasons for that happening. It's like the universe protecting you. You're not supposed to be at those places at that time. So you shouldn't be mad like when you wake up late for something, or when you this, that, or you're not feeling right, you just call in. It's just the universe working in your favor and what you're supposed to do. Sometimes it's, you're in a funk and you have to clear yourself out. But most of the time, it's the universe interacting and preventing you from being like, I was supposed to work days like a week before 9/11 happened, but it got pushed off to nights until like 2 weeks later. So, I almost was there during that when it happened, but I wound up showing up there a little bit later. So that's like the universe interacting and kind of like protecting you. So that's one way it like unconsciously protected me. The way it consciously protected me is like when I would see, like I say, it's kind of hazy out and it seems like there's going to be something bad happening here. And then I'd get called to some other area, and lo and behold, right where I was looking, there was a shooting or someone got killed there or something like that. So that's when I knew as a cop, like something's up here. And then, I'd see things happen. Like my brother got into an accident years ago, and he went in a hiking accident. And this is when I became a cop. I saw him falling down a mountain, and like, as I was just walking around, not like dreaming of this, that, but just like felt him falling down a mountain. And turns out he lost somebody in a hiking accident. And it was right as I was experiencing it myself. That's what was happening with my brother. So I knew there was something up, and I knew I had an ability. And then as the years went on, you just kind of listen to that little inner voice, Sometimes it's you hear it, you really actually physically hear it. Like when I was a cop, I had a partner that said he was going out to lunch with his girlfriend. And he physically, I saw him saying it. And then later on, I said, how was lunch with so-and-so? And he's like, I didn't tell you that. I never said that to you. So I knew I was hearing things in people's heads, or actually physically seeing what had to be revealed, so he can heal their path, Sometimes you're able to intervene in people's lives, and you hear certain things because you're supposed to set them straight. You're supposed to, and from that point on, that guy called me Father John at that point, So, hopefully I turned his life around, but he still got into a lot of trouble years later. But, I always gave him the benefit of the doubt, because if I wasn't able to hear those things, that means, I was meant to help him at some point. Right. I was just understanding.
He was supposed to get past that point. Right.
Right. He was supposed to realize what he was doing was wrong, and he should, be with his family and appreciate what he has, so, so a lot of that stuff develops as you go along. And now it's just, I'm just very in tune to it. I try and just listen, and anybody can do it. Really, some people have more an ability than others. Some people are more consciously able to tap into it. So anyone listening tonight, like if you want to tap into that, it's almost like you have to meditate. You have to clear your mind. You have to get rid of all that's toxic around you as much as possible, because let's face it, we all have toxicity in our life and we can't always clear it out all the time. But in that moment where you're meditating, you have to like clear your conscious and just kind of think of nothing, And
I got down to a little point about that today in my meditation that I think is maybe a good note, for people. Essentially what you're doing is you're trying to quiet yourself down to the point where you aren't distracted by the sound and you can feel whether or not there's an impulse that goes along with the thought or the sensation. Because thoughts come into our mind all the time, but when our minds are really busy, it's really hard to understand what's going on. But, as I've become more sensitive, I know what's me actively efforting. It's a very small effort for me to think, but there's an effort that goes into it to me to think something. And I know when I didn't make an effort. And I didn't used to know that. And that sort of subtlety of what's going on in the quietness of your mind, where thoughts are coming from, whether or not they're coming from you. A lot of times I've seen the pattern of I don't effort, a thought comes, and then I effort because I like the thought and I'm interested in the thought and I start engaging with the thought, and then I go back to meditation. And then again, I'll get into a place of receptivity where things come, but I didn't make an effort for them to come. That's
it's almost like you're setting an intention.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's tuning, we're tuning out the voice in our head as much as anything else, trying to get into a place of quiet. And the voice in your head is when you're actively participating in the conversation and you're trying to get to a point where you're not a participant. And, that's like a really, when you get to that point where you can feel yourself think, I think it's very empowering.
It's a great point. And now if you notice what you said, but Jesse, you said tuning, tuning the antennas as we talk about. And before we all got on talking here tonight, like there is that antenna that kind of tunes in to that energy. And that's a great way of putting it, Jesse. Like for the people who are trying to tap into their psychic abilities or that inner voice, or that, it all even starts with like motherly instincts, when you talk about, that's that motherly instinct that woman has, and she's got children and she knows her child's in trouble because she just feels it. And that's something that's widely accepted around the world.
Sure.
Like, that doesn't feel right. Or when I was a cop, it's that gut feeling. You have just a gut feeling that something's not right. Those are the beginnings of tapping into that antenna. And if we all as humans kind of are comfortable, tuning into that a little more and talking about it, we can kind of really allow ourselves to speak unconsciously to each other.
That's what we're doing here.
That's
exactly what we're trying to do.
As you guys were talking about, when you were talking about what you're going to talk about in the show, I was thinking about that before we got on, before we even discussed it. So we all kind of were on the same page before we even tuned in tonight. So
we actually have I know Angela is a bit of a medium, and
I wanted to take a minute to shout out to all of our regulars in the chat and everybody else watching but not commenting and who will be watching later. Thank you guys, we love you. Shout out to Rams Network. Oh, sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, a lot of people are chiming in here, I see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go through it so fast, but those are some of our regular listeners, and we've a few of them have mentioned before, spiritual psychic abilities, and now, being tapped in a little bit.
A question I get asked a lot, and maybe I'll give my brief answer after you, so we can see whatever the differential is. Is how do you differentiate between those voices, in your head, and also we live in a world, where people know that there's some amount of sort of negative spirits, negative energies that can be sort of like leeching onto our energies sometimes. And how do we, I remember I had a time where I was brought to a knee by like a bad thought. And it was at a time years later where I was open to the idea that there were things that could influence me, and I was in a really good spirit, and I didn't understand why I had the bad thought. But after that happened, I was like, wow, how many times has this happened to me before this? And how do I avoid it? So I know a lot of people who are dealing with kind of psychic stuff. It's hard for them to trust themselves. How have you gotten to a place of trusting your inner voice and knowing the difference between the right one and the fearful one?
Well, the repetitiveness for me, for everyone, is different, I believe. But, for me, I get different things, a sound, or I'll actually physically see the person telling me what they're doing wrong, even though when they're not doing it. It doesn't happen often. But a smell, I'll smell something that's reoccurring, and it repeatedly comes. Like the person speaking will be like, no, this is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. Like, so, it's.
Have you always been tuned into your sense of smell, or was that something you developed?
No, that's something that happened later. Like when I was, as a cop, I would, like if someone I knew was going to pass away, I'd smell formaldehyde, That's my thing, but everyone's different.
Interesting. Oh, you know what? Like, so maybe that's something similar. I'm thinking trigger. I sometimes think in silly TV show epitaphs and movie quotes. If I would get excited about something I want to choose, I think I choose you, Pikachu, and I have other kind of silly things like that. But it's like the easiest psychic message for me. That's like woohoo, and I've found a lot of times I'm communicated with by way of these commercialized sayings, but I see that they have like an energetic charge for me, a resonance for me. And, in these situations, there's a lot of strong smells, I'm sure that probably helped you to develop that over time.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like what you spontaneously think of this, that, I mean, for me, I get that as well. But like, Jesse and I, we sometimes go back and forth doing impersonations, and that, it's like, the Sean Connery stuff or the Christopher Walken,
because it's channeling somebody's energy, just sort of like trying to tune into their vibe.
Yeah. So you get, I think in doing that or getting something or a song, it also triggers an emotion, and it puts you in a better place. Mm-hmm. So, laughter is good. It's music is good. It all relaxes you so that you
I was going to say.
Yeah. So
music's a big part of that for why I think you and I also, connect on that more so, of like trying to figure out where people are. I mean, trying to understand people, size people up, get a handle on people, but also as singers, like when you hear a song, you can literally hear how they're singing, and if you want to impersonate them, you kind of have to figure out how they're speaking to make your instrument like theirs, which is a big thing of what's taught me, spiritually. One of my big lessons has been that we're all instruments. We can all sing if we get to a key that's somewhere where we can speak, and we can probably heal ourselves completely in all sorts of fashions if we could really become good instruments.
You're spot on with that, Jesse. I mean, we're all spiritual instruments. We all have this ability to speak the same language universally through music and through like harmonic vibration. And there's healing through vibration. There's also healing through art and visual stuff, Michael. So that's like where your stuff
absolutely
comes in.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we've been talking about earlier about the energy that's happening right now, the shift, this big shift in energy. It's interesting for me because I do see a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say suffering, but struggling with retrograde and things that are happening with this energy. But for me, it's kind of the opposite. I've found myself more connected to the flow and in some new opportunities. I know you're supposed to avoid all of those things, but it was just where everything was going. And, I find my brain working in such amazing ways now, like very creative ways, a lot of creativity and, connecting me to that source.
You've made it sound grounding, Michael, like with, because what chimed in earlier, even before this started, was that your antenna through art and creation and having the right framing of the art that's supposed to be viewed. Because if something's not framed out properly, no one's going to listen to Jesse. No one's going to listen to you or me.
Right.
And that's where you come in. You're giving the ability to frame these things out properly. And that's a step one. Right. So you have to be here first. So you have to be, on point. So that is part of where you're supposed to be. I don't think it's not of what you're not supposed to do. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. So,
right.
That's why you're feeling that way. And then, Jesse and myself, we talked about like this funkiness. I just get it because of the psychic realm and because you're tapping into that energy all the time, that it slows you down. It's sluggish because the whole world, the whole universe is going through a change right now. And we have to kind of tap into the right frequencies to get our message out, so to speak, and that's what we're doing here tonight. So go ahead, Jesse. You said something.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that's what we talk about all the time. And I know we've talked about it a little bit on the show, except what we usually say is like holding space, and that's a little bit of Michael's superpower, that he's really wonderful at holding space. And it's one of the reasons why he got such great photographs, even when his participants aren't necessarily the best professional model or whatever. He's always really good about bringing out, people's personalities and creating a space where they feel comfortable enough to be themselves. And that was, we were talking for a while about a radio show. It's just funny because you're so psychic, called, what was it called? Holding Space for people?
No, it was called Creating Space. Yeah.
Creating space. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so I mean, you were using a different word, but I mean, that absolutely is on point for
totally.
Yeah, it's really bizarre how we're all talking. It's like we're speaking a step ahead of each other or something, But the people watching it, it's kind of neat because we haven't had too much conversation before the show. Like we talk to, but as far as like the energy and how it's happening and how you're falling into place,
totally. Our buddy Stevie's watching. Hey, Stevie.
Yeah, there was this another, like all day I was getting this female energy. I don't know if you two know any, but a red-headed, like grandma type thing, like red curly hair. It's very, I don't know, I think it was for you, Michael. I don't know if you knew anybody, but there was someone in your life that had this curly, kinky hair, looked reddish at times, and was always very vocal and just kind of running around the house. I don't know if it's the house where you live or if there's an energy of spirit there or somebody, but just very, very active, older, motherly, grandmotherly type role person, I'm assuming it's passed. But
or maybe it was Michael in another life.
Could be, but if you do get something like that, I mean, that's just something, and that's what I talk about the energy, Jesse. It's like that's something that keeps coming up. It comes up. It keeps repeating. It keeps repeating. It keeps repeating. So if you don't say it, then it's just going to keep bothering you until you get it out. So,
well, I got to tell you, Johnny, my girlfriend Julie has always been a little psychic, but she didn't put a lot into it. And when we started dating, I think because I'm so open, it's been a little activating for her, and she's been like super psychic. Like I couldn't be dishonest with Julie if I tried. She is like always knows what's up. I mean, it's funny. I always know what's up, but like I tend to be kind of coy, and she's just like, something's up.
Yeah,
something's
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
and it's very funny watching.
Just because I'm trying to think, and I know it's not always apparent when you describe somebody. I've worked with a lot of psychics, so I kind of know how that happens. So I'm not thinking of anything offhand. Is it possible that somebody listening can be for? Because we have Courtney saying that's my great grandma.
That's my great grandma. What did she wear? Like I saw you see her in a suit, Courtney, with like black like dress, and she had a blouse, and she was very energetic. Is that right? How I'm describing her,
with you? This would be amazing if we get a live reading, Johnny. that'd be really cool. I'd be very thankful for the energy. Cool. Yeah,
I was praying today for something like I'm like I need something good tonight, like spirit world, like just to validate the energy,
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hear her chime back in yet, but if she,
I'm looking for the comments over here, but I don't know if I can see them.
Courtney was
very energetic woman. This is redhead, like very curly, very energetic, very. If this is the person, and she's moving around all the place, and I don't know. Now she's throwing cards, like playing cards, like throwing them at me. So I guess she's making a coming through. I don't really get spirits too often, but when I have to make a connection or that, I do more of like a get the person on the right path. But I do get, the psychic mediums.
I love it. I love that stuff. One of my best friends, he does readings live like this too. And it's like so fascinating to me how he describes what's happening, what he's seeing, what he's hearing, what connections he's made. Oh, I always see the number 22, which means, Mickey Mantle or whatever. He makes these connections and somehow someone's like, oh, that makes sense to me. And it comes out. So Courtney says,
kind of, I know she was always dressing nice, watching soap operas. She was very well spoken and loved owls. Okay, that's interesting. She's giving us a lot of information. She passed away years ago, Courtney says. All right, because she's saying, because it's funny, because right before Courtney chimed in, I'm hearing from her. She's clapping. She's like, no, me. Like she was, I guess, acknowledging that she needed to get through. So cool. Well, Courtney, that's great. I thought this was a connection from Michael, but as you know, the psychic realm, you don't know everything. You need the help of the people. Like the person has to believe, and the people giving the reading have to believe in the energy. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's got to connect. Yeah.
I'm watching Twin Peaks, so that owls mean something different to me right now.
Well,
the owls are not what they seem.
But in any case, I had a reading I did a couple weeks ago, and I showed up and I said, someone here's a psychic. Is it you? And I pointed to one lady and she's like, no, it's her. And she's like, go ahead, hotshot psychic, do your thing. And I was like, oh, here we go on the spot. And I said, well, you're not letting me read you. You're putting a wall up. And I go, you're not allowing me to read into your energy. And you're putting a wall up so I can't read you. I'm like, why are you doing that? I'm like, you do this all the time. You shouldn't do that. It's really rude, So I said that to this other psychic, and she's like, oh my God, like I've never even had someone get past that point, So, every psychic's different. Every person's different. How we do things is all, you just interpret the energy, and hopefully you're getting it right. And what I try and do, just for those people starting out, is just listen to what you're getting. And try not to be too interpretive, because just describe what you see. Don't be like, oh, unless it's something like you said, Michael, that, oh, I know, this means Mickey Mantle or something, for the psychic that
they've seen before, right?
Yeah, like maybe Jesse, for you, that you do have this energy about, what puts you into that frame of mind is when you're hearing movie phrases, that you're going into that element of okay, the antennas are on. And I have to listen. I might be getting a song, or I might be getting something spiritual,
Right.
So I think a lot for Jesse, it's songs.
What you're saying is important, and that's what my buddy Chris always says too. Is like, and Jesse, you said it, is you want to get out of the way. You're basically here's what I'm getting. What does it mean? Like that person's got to receive it and be like, oh, this is what it means. I get it, and then it becomes more apparent to you, and you can kind of interpret and work through it. That's what I've seen, and it's so amazing. I mean, and it's like, I guess for me at this point, being kind of pretty sensitive to energy, it's like, I see it, I feel it happening. Besides the interaction with you and whoever you're reading, or whatever's coming through. I mean, it's palpable there in the room. It's like your hair stands up, it's like
yeah, that's another sign too. If your hair is standing up when you're talking, like it's like Jesse, it's like when you hear that really great song and then you get that vibe and your hair stand up, and you it's the same thing, really. It's really the same energy. We talk a lot. And here's Angela chiming in again. Get mad because I have a lot of spirits that follow me, and I was trying to join a ghost hunting group. She said, no bringing your own spirits.
we definitely have a great fan base here. That's
yeah, you do have to be careful. I mean, Jesse, you were talking about the bad spirits that attach, and then also manifestations. And if you dive into darkness, or you constantly looking for darkness, that darkness will attach itself to you. So that does happen out there.
Can I broaden that a little bit?
Yeah,
because I think there's like a demystifying truth to what is being said here. When people are talking about demons, essentially we're talking about bad ideas, and what all bad ideas ultimately represent is a dark reflection of infinite loving omnipotence, which is what we are, what we come from, what we'll always be. but there's an idea, because we exist, of the antithesis of omnipotent, loving, infinite power, which is infinite powerlessness, and going the other way. And so much of these demons are essentially just fear-based ideas, energies that come directly from a notion that we are disempowered, which is a false notion. We are not disempowered. We're completely empowered. But from the false notion that, well, what if we weren't empowered, comes a menagerie of really an infinite slew of demon energies, bad energies that can feed and empower and attach to anybody, and are essentially attached to anybody whenever your energies are lining up with what their energy is representative of. So it's like, we're all susceptible to these demons, but it's not a demon.
It's so interesting the way you're putting it, dude. It's really,
well, that's why I wanted to put it that way, because I think when you see it like that way, it can really demystify that whole I got to be exercised. Yeah, that person really was sick with a bad idea that they allowed to. Yeah, exactly. They allowed to take them over. But
it's the opposite, like light and dark. That's what you made. That's how you simplified it down to that, and that really is cool. It makes sense.
And it only disappears from the plane when the people on the plane stop empowering the thought. And I believe that because of our free will, the higher realms aren't allowed to just come in and stop these bad energies whispering in our ears, because it has to be up to us to go, no, I don't agree with that. That's not how it is to be.
Yeah. I mean, there is a large truth to everything that Jesse said. That's all true. There's other parts that can get a little bit wacky with spirits and
all of these things.
Yeah. But for the most part, with the manifestation and like attracts like, everything that Jesse's talking about is pretty much, you could bring on your own darkness if you're going to the darkness, or if you're attracted to darkness, then you're going to attract more darkness, So that's very true. And you can manifest your own problems, to the point where you can create even a vortex in your own home if you have such negativity.
I guess it's kind of say, like the caveat that, you could put in there, like if you've seen the Shazam movie, they recently had the 7 deadly sins. So there's like a ton more than just those 7 deadly sins. There's just tons of really powerful spirits that represent various, sort of bad ideas. And basically, as much power as you put into them pulls you into alignment with them, and the people who are in the highest alignment with them become the vessels for these energies. And that's how people get possessed at the end of the day, and a variance within these things. But at the end of the day, you participate even for a few seconds in something that is fear. You empower that energy of the fear thing. You're not a really big pull on the fear elemental, but you did. And that's kind of, we're all accessing one mind, and the one mind, anything similar in the one mind is sort of overlapping on some level.
It's a very great point Jesse brings up. Just recently, I'd gone through a bad divorce, and the point of it is that she was also psychic, but she was taught to fear all that is evil, all that is bad, and fear. And she put more fear into me of the darkness. And once I had zero fear of the darkness, once I stared it straight in the face and faced it on head on, and said, no, I'm not going to let you control me. I'm controlling my own destiny. I don't let this darkness control me, or this bad spirit, this, that. And they flee like crazy. I'll even have spirits that'll come see and want to get contact with people. But if they're not really a good vibe spirit, like, no, I don't need your energy right now. You need to go.
So there's power in just even being aware of it all, and just kind of understanding.
Absolutely.
And I have a similar story that just popped into my head from this, and it's actually super specific. And that is this: I had somebody ask me to play in a band, stand in for a little bit in this band, and it was very heavy industrial music, and I have been listening to nothing but like meditation music for the past couple of years. I mean, I used to listen to Slipknot and Pantera and some pretty heavy stuff, and I liked the music in that way. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. But as I was playing it, there was one particular song called Hatred, and I think it was a cover song, like an old cover song from like an old punk band, and you're literally screaming hatred, and I became really uncomfortable and I had to bow out. I was like, I can't play this. I don't stand for this energy, and the energy is just not comfortable for me, and I mean, that's pretty specific. I mean, I was like, wow, this is really weird to feel this way, but that's how I felt.
Yeah, that's you have to be in the right frequency of the music you're performing and like it and believe in it, and that has to be, it's something that's pushing out hate that so much, and that wasn't helping you in that moment.
Right.
Maybe the person that wrote it was needed to say it at that moment.
It totally came from that place, like you're talking about. The person had a lot of anger that they needed to get out, and that's what it was representing, but it just didn't sit with me, I wasn't feeling it. Angela says, tell them to get the fuck out, they won't stay.
That's very true, Angela.
I want to take Taylor McKinnon's request in a second if we can pull up her comment, but also back up the there's an earlier one. She wants to ask about her dad, and I think Johnny would be down.
I see. She's asking about her mom. The shout out for her dad. Her dad
asking about her mom. Sorry, not her dad.
Yeah.
Well, Angela had something about the grandmother keeps coming through. Something about someone's mom made butter or something with butter. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's what I got earlier. Okay, and
let's see.
I'm just trying to see because now the floodgates are opening. Now it's like you're getting all these energies, and the ones that are stronger come through more than the other ones. So. What's the significance of the male? Is a male, older male with feathers, like white feathers, and he's throwing feathers up in the air. I don't know who that's for. I'm just trying to be honest to the energy, and
I just know that Taylor's very open, and she said that she wanted to know if you'd seen a bald, large woman in her 60s wearing a gown. Have you seen my mother?
No, I have to be honest. I'll be honest if I've seen them, I didn't see that particular individual. The individuals I see was this woman with the red hair, and her energy is very strong. And then there's another male coming through with this white feather. I don't know what the significance of that. He's like taking a feather and he's whisking it in the air. I'm not sure, but it's for someone here tonight, because that person wasn't here earlier and they just popped in right now. So older male is receding hairline, gray hair in the back of his head, and very witty, and almost has looks like John Paul Stuggy. I don't know if that's any reference to anyone listening here tonight. He was in Peter, Paul, and Mary, but that's the reference they're showing me. So I don't know if anyone's chiming in here, if this rings with anybody.
That's for our listening audience. Is anybody anybody recognizing this description?
What's that?
I'm just asking the audience if anybody's recognizing the description that you're giving.
Yeah, could be for you guys too. So I don't know. It's like keep the radars or keep the listening ears on.
Brian Burns wants to know, what does it mean to see orange and purple floating dots?
Brian, that could mean anything. It's floating dots in the air. Sometimes they're energy, they're orbs, they're lights, they're spirits, they're past spirits. But the colors usually represent, purple and orange aren't necessarily bad colors. You also speak in the spirit of sprites, where these spiritual orbs come floating around. So there's that as well. Jesse's taking a hike. Where'd you go, Jesse?
He was just saying keep going. So
yeah.
So for me, I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily need to ask you this, because for me, I think I know what it is. But when I meditate, it's always a different experience. Sometimes I'll have a similar experience to another one. But a lot of times it's different. Sometimes I'll see faces, sometimes I'll see colors, sometimes
where is he seeing the orbs? Where are you seeing the orbs? The purple and orange.
I only ever see orange and green. Purple,
purple, and green.
So for me, I see, when I meditate, it's often almost like a ring nebula, and it's purple and green, and it's always going away for me, like, and then, you know, back again, and
it is different for everybody.
Yeah.
So does he get that when he meditates, or is that something you get when you're seeing it all the time?
I know Brian, and I know that Brian tends to have a lot of interesting experiences. He sees portals sometimes. I know he's asked me about that. Do you know the significance of portals? You know, when people see, like, you know, holes open in space, it's something I've heard people say they've seen before, but it's not something I've ever seen.
Well, there's vortexes where you have like a negative spiritual vortex that could be created in areas. Portals, that's something, you know, on another spiritual realm, but not necessarily like there's physical portals that exist as well, like, you know, in the physical realm. So I'm not sure what portals. Maybe he has the ability to see the physical portals, or that they exist, or there's a connection to the people when he's seeing these portals. That there's might be some type of connection to the people around him when he's seeing these portals. You know, because there are. I mean, I don't know if we want to get to that whole discussion on that realm, but you know, there's believed to be portals all over the planet. Where things come in and out, come out willingly and knowingly, but we're not as advanced to be able to do that, you know, as physical humans on this planet, you know.
So here's Brian's chiming in about the
I've been through a portal once, maybe twice, into another existence. Yeah, that a world we know nothing about. Yeah, Brian. Like I said, you're not absolutely nuts. Don't think you're going cuckoo. There are other worlds that exist. I mean, if you look out to the universe, there's other worlds out there, and made up all white. Well, I don't know which one. There's, you know, Brian, you can. This is something we got to talk about privately. So Brian, you can get my info from Michael or Jesse. I'm on Facebook, and you can
tell me what your info is. I'll put it
Oh
up.
yeah, I was specifically, Johnny, I wanted to say, if anybody wants to get a reading with you, what's the information, or to reach out? Is it through your Instagram?
Just reach out on. You could reach out on Facebook Messenger. You can text me. I'll give you my phone number. You can text me, and then we can go from there. I've done some Zooms recently. And they've been very, you know, I'm sure there's people watching now that can attest that some of the readings I gave were very, very helpful in straightening out their lives. The readings I usually do just help people get grounded in their life. A lot of people want to connect with people that have passed. Sometimes it happens if they need it. A lot of times people aren't ready for that. They don't really need to speak to other people. And if you do, and, you know, you speak to someone who specifically does that and that only. I do that periodically, but it's not primarily what I do, you know.
Now, Johnny, as we're getting to the end of the show, I'd really want to chat with you about the energy that's been going around, because I feel like, you know, through so many people, I keep hearing the same thing of really feeling kicked around. I know at a certain point, I heard Mercury was in retrograde, and I like breathed a sigh of relief, and I was like, wow. It was so nice to have something to blame it on.
The Mercury retrograde is part of it.
I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's not all of it. It's basically the energy that's going around in the world today, because you have, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty just coming out of this virus thing. There's a lot of people on TV, you know, telling you what's going on. Do you really believe every single thing that you hear on TV? You know, you have to kind of just have your own gut instinct and just follow it, because a lot of times that's going to help you more.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing that's happening right now, is people are like, wait a second. You know what I mean? That's that in itself. Yeah. Just wait a second, you know, like double thinking everything you've known. I mean, for me, I'm just like waiting for the shoe to drop, you know, like I know that everything that all of these paradigms that we've lived in, you know, they're already changed in my existence. You know what I mean? I think in a lot of people's existence, they're not. And, you know, I already see that they are, but everybody's got to catch up. And that's the thing. A lot of people are finally going, hey, wait a second. something's wrong here. Something doesn't.
I would say, Jesse, accept the wrong, accept the weirdness, accept the tiredness, accept the messed up stuff that happens, because that's just bringing it to where you're supposed to be.
Of course. Well, why would you say that this sort of thing?
Oh, Brian's talking about the reptilians. We'll get, like I said, Brian, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, but I don't know if all of our listeners are ready to hear the whole spiel, man.
A conversation not for this show.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jesse.
Oh, sorry, but I was going to say, why is it that that this sort of energy thing affects some people so hard, and and others, Steve Sage is saying, my energy's been great lately.
Right.
Because they've fallen into place where they're supposed to be, just like Michael has fallen into place. For me, the energy has been great lately. So, Stephen, are you an artist? Are you someone who visual arts, or someone that organizes things, that sets things up? Is that something that you do, Stephen? Maybe because Stephen can answer me.
Yeah, no, he's a DP, and he's the one who actually set up the whole filming of Dee's show on Friday.
Well, there you go. You guys are supposed to be in order, because you can't.
I agree with that. Yeah, Johnny, and you know what? I agree with that. I think that's something I wanted to say earlier, is that artists of all types of creativity are shining right now, and I think are almost going to be like the saviors, you know what I mean? Because we're all using our brains in these different ways, and I'm talking about all sorts of different mediums, everything from regular, painting and drawing, to like people now are taking bugs and shaping them and actually using them as artistic elements, and they're like, just creating all of these new art forms, and it's so amazing and wonderful to see and be a part of, and like, it's like that energy is what I feel.
We need a shift, Michael and Jesse. Also, that the shift is needed to bring attention to what art we're going to be looking at in the future. Because let's face it, the past 15 years, let's talk business for a bit. The three majors have kind of really not even. I mean, Mick Jagger said the other day, or Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey, we could release a new song and nobody would care about our new music. So why is that? Why is that people, even who have established themselves, can release a new song and then doesn't get paid attention to? It has to be framed out properly. It has to be given, and the art and the media and all that stuff is important for the transformation. And Jesse, the slow energy is just the process, so that when you finally get to the energy and it's coming through and you're moving forward and you're moving swiftly, you can appreciate that it's coming through. Like, here it is. And it's finally here. And I'm going to give it the best energy it possibly needs. So it can, it can rise to where it's supposed to go. So we can get all the individuals out there to a different conscious level.
Right.
That's really what it is. It's art is a new consciousness now. So
that's a great way to put it. I love it.
Yeah. So does that answer your question, Jesse? Like you were asking, like the sluggishness, the funkiness, like why? What's the purpose of that?
Absolutely. And I mean, I share so much of your view. I usually, so much of my questions are because I want the nuance of how you're looking at things to be shared with the audience and the viewers. So I mean, I'm very much in agreement. And obviously, we're all sort of clicking into different places, and some of us are in the right spot, and then some of us are being encouraged to get rid of some remaining cobwebs in our cellars on our way to a better place. And
we all are.
That's certainly what we should be thinking when we are, dealing with any of this stuff, which is what I've been trying to think. But at the same time, don't fall into the place where and I'm saying this as much for myself as I am for you guys, but where you're just like, oh my God, I'm a lazy bum. What the hell is wrong with me? So, sometimes you're tired. And and
that's okay.
You have to honor the tiredness. You have to honor being tired. Ninja Kitty here has a question here. One of her brothers always around me. I'm getting so many energies as we're talking, and I want to give everybody individual attention. So after the show, if anybody wants to just take a shot and send me a text on Facebook message, I'd probably be better to do it You can do it tonight if there's really a need. But if better to do it when I can recharge, and so I'm starting doing more readings next week, and there's a big one I'm doing next week, so I'm kind of prepping myself for that. But anyone that chimed in tonight, if they want, a reading, just reach out to me privately.
Awesome. That's very generous. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah.
That is
no
so
problem.
Awesome. Totally. Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah. So
what's up, Mackenzie? I got to say what's up to Mackenzie.
Oh, they all clapped here. But I want to thank the energy that came through tonight and a lot of the confirmations we got. Some for you, Michael, and some for your associates. And, why are some people feel really grounded right now and some don't? Because, they're laying out the groundwork for us, Jesse. They're laying out the roads, the roads, so we can continue, so.
Johnny, what's the best way for people to listen to your music if they want to connect with you spiritually on that front?
Well, I have a johnnynale.com. I mean, there's only one song out right now I did with Steve Ferrone, and that's all on SoundCloud as Johnny Nale, or it's under Chrome Orange Music, under my old label. They took it off of the market and left it for TV and movie stuff. But I have some new songs coming out, but they're just currently being mixed right now. I got one song called Rainmaker. And if you want to hear that song, it's on YouTube under John Nagel or Johnny Nagel.
No, I think.
There's Rainmaker in there. See, Johnny Nale. You can find me on YouTube. So there's two versions of Rainmaker, and there's a studio version coming out of both those songs that are listed there. So if you want to give them a listen, you can listen to them there.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, do check out Johnny's stuff, and we'll let Johnny go, and we will wrap up the show real quick. And Johnny, if you want to hang for just like 5 minutes, we'll wrap up in a second.
Sure, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for sharing all of that stuff.
Thanks for having me, man.
Coming on. It was great having you.
We'll definitely bring you on again for sure.
Cool. And
right,
whenever you guys want.
We'll see you in a bit. I'm putting you in the green room.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Nale.
It was wonderful.
That was awesome.
Johnny on the show. Thanks for coming, Johnny. And so it's pretty cool. We're getting to the end of the month. Next week is the last week of this month. And we'll be revealing a new calendar for the following month, which we've already been kind of booking some things up. And I decided that I think maybe like the last week of that month, of which I guess would be August, we would love to do a show based all around your guys' letters and anything that you would want to write. We're going to get a email set up for next week. And if you guys, obviously your email will come in and we'll be able to see that. But if you want it to be anonymous, just you can either tell us who you are and say, but I want to be anonymous, or you can just send it anonymously. Anything that you'd like to talk about that's in relation to this, we may edit the thing depending on, what it is, but I really would like to dedicate a show to our audience and all the people, who've been listening. And
we did have Taylor who was asking to get some well wishes for her dad.
Oh, yes. I also wanted to do that. Yes, thank you for remembering.
I wanted to make sure. Thank you, Taylor, for being so always there.
Yes. Thank you, Taylor. And well wishes to Taylor's dad. We hope everything will be okay. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat who will also send out some good vibes to Taylor's dad. But anyway, start thinking about what it is you might want to know about, what the questions that you have, things that you situations you might like advice on or whatever. And next week we'll give out a email address with that you can send your letters to, and 2 months after that we'll do a show dedicated to the listeners. So I'm excited.
And actually, next week our guest is
a listener,
one of our original listeners.
What a coincidence!
Which is amazing. Next week we have Mackenzie Wardrope on, and then we do have our calendar for July. And you guys can see it on the live stream of consciousness on Facebook. We have a Facebook page going, and everything.
Month after that, Tanya Dahl, who just happens to be my brother Cody's fiance. Tanya's awesome. My buddy Sean Nichols, who's a great vocalist, producer, and really into numerology. Michael's friend Anna Miranda, who's an astrologer and intuitive specialist. One of our guests we've had on before, Christopher Allen, psychic medium. Chris is great. And then my sister Shy Snyder, who I wanted to apologize. She's coming into the airport while we were on the show, and I zipped off for a second. I got a phone call from her. I just had to be like, "You're okay, like you're getting picked up." So anyway, so I apologize for seemingly not being here for moments here or there. But we love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Rock Against MS Network. Thank you to anybody who donated to the cause of the Rock Against MS Network and ourselves, our show, making new graphics and getting new clothes and looking flashy, new green screen backgrounds and things like that.
All righty. Peace. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.